I'm here with Adam and Tom of Barry Tomorrow to talk about the new record. Okay, I need to sit back for this one because I got to read this title and make sure I don't miss anything. Will You Haunt Me with the Same Patience? Coming out May 16th on Sony Music. Thank you guys very much for taking the time. Pleasure to see your faces. And I'm sure it's going to be a pleasure to talk about this new record that I just got listening to for the last couple of days. I've had it on loop. So thank you very much for taking the time.
No worries, man. Thank you.
Likewise. So I mentioned the title being really long. So let's talk a little bit about the title. What inspired this specific title?
That
Tom?
it was a lyric. It was a lyric from one of the songs, "Silence Isn't Helping Us." It was just one that kind of stuck out to us and seemed to kind of reflect the mood of like the album lyrically and kind of vibe wise. It's quite like a reflective look on probably how we see things at the moment. So that just seemed to stick, and everybody liked it. So it seemed like a different direction to go for a title as well, because there's not been one that's been such a long one.
It's very philosophical because when I was listening to the record and I was checking out the title, I mean you can really interpret the title in many different ways. It really comes down to whoever's reading it, the mindset that you have and how you want to take it. So from that perspective is really cool because the whole time you're listening to the album, you're really wondering, what are you guys thinking when you create it? Because I know what I'm thinking, but what are you guys thinking? So it's a really interesting title from that perspective.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I think, sorry, mate.
please,
I
sir.
was just going to say, like as you kind of touched on, we wanted to do something a little bit different with it. I think we've had, you know, over the last few years, you always try and think of an album title that's kind of, snappy and instant and whatever else, and the 1 to 2 word things. But we wanted to try something a bit different in the same way as we wanted to try something a bit different with some of the songs. But I think you kind of knocked the nail on the head there as far as the interpretation element is always, really important. It's the same with our lyrics. We can say what a particular song is about, what the guys were kind of feeling when they wrote it. But the great thing about music and lyrics is people are able to interpret in so many different ways, and I think that's cool about the album title as well. For me personally, I it's not what the album title was constructed from, but the patience element of the album title for me is really cool because I think, as I said, it's not why we chose it, but I just feel like our journey as a band has been about being patient. And I think being patient and having patience is such an important thing through life. And for me, it kind of just makes me reflect on the journey that we've had because we've had to be so patient to kind of get to where we are, and I guess to get to where we want to be, it's been a really long journey for us. So I personally have really kind of enjoyed that element of it and fixating a little bit more on the patient side. But as you said, people are going to take it however they want, and I think the way that the guys write lyrics is very, very thoughtful. It's very poetic. And it does make you think. And it's not necessarily immediately obvious. It's not always about being really on the nose with the lyrics. And I really like that people can take what they want from the songs.
One thing I noticed when I was listening to this record is that, well, I know this for a fact. Everybody always says that the latest album is the band's best album. Now, I'm not going to say that, but I will say that I leave that up to the people after they listen to the record. What I will say is this is the band's most mature record. You guys have grown up a lot, and this album really shows that maturity. It shows in the track listing, it shows in the sound, it shows in the vocal approach, title of the record, lyrics of the song. Every album paints a very specific snapshot. Is this snapshot of this record the maturity that the band has reached over the years of your existence as a group?
I think it is. Yeah. I mean, I think it's a reflection of the journey that we've been on over many years, but also obviously since Tom and Ed came in and we had that kind of clear reset almost. I think it's the most complete, mature version of us. And it's a reflection of those guys and us growing kind of together and being more comfortable, them being more comfortable within the group. Um, even more input into the writing process on this one. I think, I don't want to speak for the guys, but I think they were definitely still finding their feet with the Seventh Son. Obviously, kind of how to collaborate with us and how far to, maybe push their ideas almost without wanting to tread on toes. But I think this record was very much like, open season as far as the guys could put forward ideas freely and construct songs completely themselves, whether that's, Tom as he does, or Ed, coming to us with entire tracks. And um, there's songs on the record where musically or guitar wise, that's literally just Ed's song. Doris didn't do anything on it, and I think that's a bit of a revelation for us. So yeah, it's just, I'm glad you like it. I'm glad you think it's mature. It's really nice to hear. It's been a long time us being sat on the record, but yeah, it was just about us trying to be the best version of ourselves, but also try some new stuff, I suppose, as we always do. But I think it's come out pretty well.
I see Tom nodding, so he agrees with you 100%.
Yeah, yeah,
The,
for sure.
I hope so.
because my son and I, we talk about music all the time as we do on our channel and on our videos, and a lot of the times people look at the genre and people look at the genre almost as like empty calories, like McDonald's. Like everything is so easy to get, everything is right in front of you. It's about the breakdown, all of that shit, and all of that is super cool. But when you listen to this record, I feel like this is an album you can listen to it 10 times, and every single time you're going to have a very different experience because these songs are not empty calories. These songs, I felt actually they required a lot from me as a listener to really understand what the album was all about. Do you guys see this album from not a mature standpoint, but more from an album that perhaps will demand more from the listener?
Yeah, I think it's been very much like a different process for us, like Jacko touched on before. I think for me and Ed, this were the first album where we've had tours together, we've spent time together, we've kind of know how each other write and what our processes are, and we felt truly comfortable in it. Um, and we went into this just trying to write the best songs they could be. So everything we've done, like has always been done anyway, but like everything was in service to like the song or the lyrics or um just trying to craft a piece that is like continuous and makes sense from start to finish. So I feel like I've never thought of it like it requires more from the listener, but that's really cool as a perspective. Um, but I suppose yeah, it's a very interesting view you've got there, and it's yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, because I'm going to be honest with you guys. I listened to the album in different from different angles. I listened to the album just like sit down, pay attention to the record, listen to it. I listened to it while I was driving because I wanted to see how is the playability of the record. How am I going to get a different record depending on what I'm putting into the listening experience? And I did. Every single time that I listened to it in a different place, it's like I was listening to a whole new album all over again. And I think playability wise, going forward, I think that's great for you guys because you have a new album that's a new album every time you play it.
Yeah, man. Well, yeah, like as Tom said, I'm really glad you kind of got that from it. I think that's super cool. I think we've always tried to have a little bit more depth to our music than maybe meets the eye initially for like a casual listener. I think there's a lot of different things we do. We do really think about some of the stuff we're doing and some of the minor details that might not be immediately obvious, and you might pick up on a second or a third listen. I think that's super cool. For example, like the way that Dawson Ed like to write with the guitar parts. It's very rare that a part like completely repeats exactly the same. You might think it's the same, but something is kind of altered in there with notes or whatever else. Bits and pieces like that. We try and be not too regular with what we do, while also being very conscious to just serve the song, as Tom said, and not overcomplicate things, which I think is cool. But yeah, there's also moments where on the record where we will just not go off on a tangent, but it's not just sticking to kind of a formula. We'll go down a more open instrumental route, those sorts of things. Take people on a bit of a journey. I think we've always been the bands that we're fans of and have been fans of over the years have not just been your really kind of I don't know, mainstream songwriting bands, I suppose. We all kind of appreciate that sort of music. And while you obviously want to have a song that's instant, a chorus is instant, or that breakdown's great, and you want to, cut to the chase as soon as you can, it's kind of cool to be able to show a little bit of, you know, more mature songwriting, I suppose, and just try some different things. It doesn't always have to be so straightforward. And yeah, we just tried to incorporate a little bit of that and take people on a journey through the album. So I'm super glad that you got that from it. I hope everyone else does as well.
I'm listening to you talking and I'm laughing because I recorded the review yesterday. Obviously, I'm not going to post it until closer to the release date. But one of the things that I said about the design, the structure of the album is that it has no pattern. And if there is a pattern, is the fact that it has none. That's the lack of pattern is the pattern of the record. And I think that that could be such a strength on a record like this. Normally, I'm a fan of listening to the album from beginning to end and having a sense of pattern. But in the days that we live today, with people streaming a song here, listening to a song there, you have to find a way of pleasuring both sides, if you will, giving a sense of a record, but at the same time still having songs that people can consume on a track by track basis. And this record definitely has that versatility.
Thank you very much. That's very kind of you to say.
It's listen, I had a blast listening to this record, and I want to ask you guys a couple about a song specifically on the album, which I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly because it's Japanese. Yoke? Is it that how you pronounce
Oh
it?
yeah, Yokai. Yes.
Yokai. Dude,
Yeah.
that song kicks everybody's ass. Like, what a badass song. First of all, why a Japanese track, and what was the inspiration for it?
Well, I think a lot of the inspiration for the Japanese side came from Dan. Also, yokai being like a kind of demon that haunts you or follows you, so it fits in with the kind of concept of what we're talking about on the album anyway. Um, and yeah, I think well that was one of Ed's riff spectaculars, weren't it? That one.
It was, yeah.
Just as like Ed just sent us this absolute monster, and then Dan got some vocals on it, and then we just kind of battered it between everybody and just fleshed it out, and it just became that. I remember Jacko right at the end. It was all recorded, and you're like, "We're gonna have a drum intro," and like so it was yeah. It feels like it's heavy, but it's not like. It's like purposefully heavy. Like it suits exactly what Dan's talking about, and the end part is like one of my favorites on the album. Like I love
Yeah.
that tune.
And the vocals too. The vocals mesh perfectly with the sound that you guys create. Everything in that song is going in the same direction, which makes that track really stand out.
Yeah. I think we wanted to have it that not a token heavy song, but we knew it was going to be heavy, as Tom said, from as soon as we had the demo and Dan wanted to bring that kind of Japanese element in. He's a really big fan of kind of the culture and stuff. So we had that as a name that he wanted to bring it in, and it just fit together. But I think the way that, we didn't just stick in a super melodic chorus there just for the sake of it. It was a heavy song. And that song's got a really different feel to it. And yeah, I just love how we can do a song like that, and then we can do a song like Found No Throne, or um, you know, any of the more melodic ones that we do. Like we're able to kind of do both ends of the spectrum, but then at the same time, I think make it work and not feel like stuff is out of place. And I do I like that we have that in our skill set, I guess.
You guys are no strangers to touring. You've toured a lot. Actually, the last time I saw you guys in Toronto was with the Electric Callboy, big ass tour in North America, and you guys are going to be coming back for another big ass tour. A lot of that maturity that we're finding on this record, how much of that comes from being on the road, playing, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't work, working with other bands? How much do you guys take from those experiences?
Yeah, a lot. And I think you could say that over our whole career, but I think that again feeds back into this record, Seventh Son. We did that record with Tom and Ed, and obviously it was their first one with us, but there was a lot of touring that then happened with those guys as well. So I think that would have been helpful for them to kind of get a feeling of what works live, what doesn't, and also just kind of get more confident in our space. The live, what we do live does play a big part in how we write. We absolutely are very aware of when we come to play it, what works live and maybe what doesn't, and we will try and learn from that. Whether it's whether we write the same kind of song again, or whether we think twice about maybe releasing something as a single, those sorts of things. We'll definitely be thinking when we write songs about how that then works live. Even now down to kind of the production side of things, when we're writing a song, recording a song, we're thinking about obviously playing it, serving what the crowd want. How is that going to interact with our live show, and how might our live production then work, what we can bring to emphasize certain parts in songs. It's all part of the consideration when we write. But yeah, I think Tom can probably elaborate on it a bit more, but I think the touring schedule we've had since they came into the band would have massively impacted their kind of writing moving forward.
Yeah, I think there's something quite, personally speaking, quite inspiring about being on tour as well, because it's you're just doing one thing for a consistent amount of time, and you're around other people that are like-minded that are doing the same thing. And yeah, that focus of being in one environment just really makes me want to create stuff, or gets me like really inspired to like write ideas. And a lot of this album, I believe in when I say this, we did a lot of the kind of initial tracking for things. So I just write like backing track ideas for things to pass to Dawson or to do whatever, and just start like getting a pool of ideas together that we could then, say yes or no to take bits from it, cherry pick ideas. So I think it's definitely informed my writing process, having that specific amount of time to just not worry about doing anything else. Um, yeah, so I'd agree.
Speaking of touring, like I said, you guys are returning to North America in April. You're going to be touring April and May. Long tour, great package. While She Sleeps, there's another band on the package, Vended, I believe,
Yes.
is
Yep.
on that package. So it's a great tour. The only thing bad about this tour, let me tell you guys, is when you come to Toronto, I'm not in town.
Oh, no
Oh
way.
no.
So this is the first time that I'm missing one of your shows in Toronto. First time ever.
That is sad.
This has me so sad because I know you guys are going to play a lot of the new material, and what I have my hopes is that the album will be successful, the tour will be successful, so you guys have many reasons to come back to North America again and play in Toronto again. Because I think you guys always had great responses when you played in Toronto.
We have. I'm sure we'll be back before long. It's for some reason it's a great market for us, considering we haven't been across there very much. Many years ago when we first did American stuff, we dabbled a little bit, but obviously we weren't around for a long time, and then we've come back a couple of times, as you've said, in the last couple of years. But yeah, I mean the Canadian shows on that Sleeps run are far bigger than the US shows. So and we had some unbelievable shows in Canada the last couple of years. The headliners that we did there in 23, was it, Tom?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, unbelievable shows. It felt like we were at home. It was crazy. So yeah, we will definitely be coming back as soon as we can for sure.
100%.
Yeah, I went to see you guys on that headlining run. I think you guys in Toronto played at the Velvet Underground, if I'm not mistaken, and it was sold out. The place was packed. Everybody was like sardines in a can. And I took my son with me to the show, and afterwards he was like, "Wow, that was like worth skipping school for." So he had a blast because we skipped school to be there early, and yeah, and even he was with me as well for the Electric Callboy show that you guys did as well. And what a great performance you guys putting on. It's just I gotta say to everybody watching this, check out the dates. I'm gonna have the dates in the description of the video of the North American tour. Pick up a ticket immediately. Go check out these guys. While She Sleeps is also another amazing band that you don't want to miss live, and Vended is phenomenal as well. I've seen all three bands, so I can vouch for everybody. Pick up a ticket, buy some merch, and go support these guys, and pick up the record when it comes out. Is it a little bit weird for you guys to go start this tour without the album being out yet?
Yeah, I was thinking that the other day actually. It is a bit of a shame for us. Obviously it's very close, but yeah, just the way our schedules worked, it's not perfect. I, yeah, because obviously we don't know exactly when we're coming back, and we're not able to come back as frequently as we would somewhere like Europe. So, yeah, in an ideal world, it would be out as we come out there. But I suppose it's close enough that it's we're going to be fresh in people's memories, and hopefully, yeah, as you say, people are going to pick up the album. But I suppose if we had to pick uh, a date, we probably would have gone for somewhere after that. But it's just the way that it worked out with everyone's schedules in order to make the tour happen and when the album was coming out. I don't even know if we confirmed the album release date when we were confirming this tour, to be honest. So it's a bit of a shame, but yeah, as you said, we'll be playing a bunch of the new stuff. So either way, it's cool for us to get there.
One last question for the two of you. I consider you guys a very successful band, but do you guys consider yourselves a successful band, and how do you measure that success? And don't tell me it's because of merch sales.
um, well, I think it's a really interesting question because let me tell you, this band has ticked off every single achievement that I wanted to make when it was started many, many years ago, and some. We've done stuff that I never would have dreamed we would do, and we continue to do that. We're going to do some more stuff this year that I never thought we would get the chance to do. So in that way, we have been successful, but clearly, as you become more successful, there's always other people that are more successful than you, and you kind of aspire to be as big as you can. And I have so much belief in our band and our music that I think we can and possibly should be even bigger. And I mean that in as less an arrogant way as I can say it, but it's just I think we've got a lot to offer, and I think there's so many people that haven't yet heard of our music that would love it. So it's just kind of a constant quest to get it out to as many people as possible and write as good as songs as we can and play as well as we can when we get the chance to play. So yeah, the longer it goes on and the bigger we get, I think the aspirations just get higher. But I think if you take it back to when we started, and my only goal was to play a show, and there was no it has to be in front of X amount of people. That show could have been in front of 10 people, and it was in front of 10 people, and that's all I wanted to do. So it's got completely out of control since then, and I do think it's important to reflect on that sometimes, the journey we've been on. But yeah, the drive to be as big as possible and keep going is absolutely still there from my perspective.
Tim, for
100%.
you?
Uh, yeah, I suppose it's a slightly different experience for me. Being 4 years ago, I was just producing in this room and then not really doing anything other than wedding gigs. And then all of a sudden I'm on stage at Slam Dunk and then download and then touring. So from that perspective, like from where I was today, like the band is insanely successful. On and but it's like with anything, it always feels like a journey, like you said, Jack, and like the journey is just like constantly advancing. So as soon as we kind of get one thing, like we'll be looking at writing the next album or the next tour or the next cycle or the next place that we've not been to. So it just feels like there's always like gonna be a kind of goalpost a little bit further down, and you always want to get better and you want to improve and you want to keep moving forward. But it's a very good question.
Well, in my mind, you guys are super successful, and I see that in your minds you are as well. It all comes down to what you measure it with. But I think if you feel like you achieved what you're setting yourself out to achieve, and like you said, when you look at where you were, maybe in the crowd watching another band playing, hoping that one day that would be you. Now it's you guys, and there's kids looking up to you guys, hoping that one day they're you. So I think that there's always a great way to look at success from that perspective and staying humble and that's pretty much you guys. And that's one of the reasons I love this band so much. So thank you very much for taking the time today. It was a pleasure.
Likewise, man. Thank you for
Most
chatting. It
welcome.
was it was very nice to talk.
Yeah, thank you, mate. We appreciate the support. I'm glad you like the album. That means
Yeah,
a
I'm
lot.
not gonna say I'll see you in Toronto, but I'll see you the next time you guys come around.
Yes, for sure.
We'll be back. Nice one.
Take care, guys. All the
Cool.
best.
Take care, man.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you.